Thank you, Bella. Got it.
Off you go.
Thanks very much, Bella.
Okay, are we going to launch some slides?
Yes. Did you want me to?
Yes, please, Caitlin.
Alrighty, let's pull this up. Let's go. Okay.
Well, brilliant. Hey, look, thank you all for coming along tonight. I think, as I said to the Auckland crowd, it would have been nice if we could do this in person. I always enjoyed coming back to Christchurch and doing these presentations and having a drink afterwards to be able to chat with you. But unfortunately, the evil world of COVID has thwarted our plans. But we certainly hope that we will be back in force next year live. So we do have some breakout times where we can have some conversations, which is great. Look, bit of background for myself. Civil engineer by background, did my master's and specialised in geotechnical engineering. I have been with Aecom for over 20 years. Incredibly hard to believe, given the fact that many of you are probably around 20 years old. But I have loved my time at Aecom. I have lived and worked in New Zealand, Australia, America. I've worked in projects around the world. I've filled roles as designer, project manager, client leader, business leader. And I've absolutely loved the diversity and that ability to change and move across sectors, across roles, has kept me engaged and excited for, I've looked for a really long time. Next slide, please. So who are we at Aecom? And there's some words there, but fundamentally we are an infrastructure consulting firm. We have advisors right across the spectrum, from planners to engineers, designers, project managers, you name it, we do it. And you'll see one of our projects in the background there, the wonderful Turanga Central Library. That is a fantastic community facility, and I think a lot of what we do is about building and connecting communities. Next slide, please. So a little bit more detail about us. As I said, we are one of the largest infrastructure firms in the world. We've got over 50,000 staff. We work across 7 continents and almost every major city in the world. Probably one of the major cities that we no longer work in is in Moscow, is in Russia. We made the call this week to actually pull out on the back of what's going on with the war in Ukraine. And it sort of speaks to that box on the far right, the 100% corporate equality index rating. And we, fundamentally believe in the importance of ethics, of doing the right thing. Absolutely committed to diversity and inclusion, and that is a value that we hold very dear to ourselves, and we see that in action when there are issues like we're seeing with Ukraine. Number 1 ranked firm in the world across a number of the areas in which we work in, and really proud of the decisions that we make as an organization and the importance that we place on ethics and fundamentally doing the right thing. Next slide, please. Globally, we've talked about that we operate everywhere. Our region is Australia and New Zealand. Across Australia and New Zealand, we have almost 4,000 staff, and across New Zealand, we have over 600 staff, and we have offices in, as you see there, Auckland, Hamilton, Wellington, and Christchurch. And we are looking for people across all of those locations. Next, please. So what do? Look, we're in the infrastructure game right from the conception of a project when our client has a challenge or a need, through to the completion of the project, and ultimately through the asset management and the delivery and life cycle of the project. We work across the full spectrum, from buildings to the environment, to transportation, to water, and to power. So whatever is of interest to you, wherever your passion lies, there's an opportunity for you within Aecom, within the infrastructure space. Next, please. Look, I thought we'd give you a couple of just snapshot projects to give you a little bit of an idea of the type of work that we're involved in. Talked earlier with the quiz around the Parakore Recreation Centre, Metro Sport, the replacement for QE2. Phenomenal project. I've had the privilege of visiting the site a number of times for safety visits. That slide there will be the longest slide in the Southern Hemisphere when it's constructed. So I am well and truly looking forward to visiting the project. Next, please. Another project, I think someone talked about the fact earlier that they are visiting Tekapo, the Tekapo intake structure, putting a gate into the tunnel to block off the tunnel for maintenance and earthquake events. Incredibly complex project that involved, 20-meter diameter excavation, drop shaft, and we provided the full range of engineering services. We've had people on site involved in the construction observation, just taking what was a design on a piece of paper right the way through. And that's one of the exciting things about the work we do, is the opportunity to live the project from the inception to completion. Next, please. City Rail Link, it's a project in Auckland, but it's the largest infrastructure project that New Zealand's ever undertaken. We are the designers for it. That's one of the renders of the station. It's a phenomenal project that we've brought together designers from around the world to deliver this incredibly complex project. And whilst the project's incredibly complex and from a technical perspective, it's brilliant and challenging. I think one of the exciting things about the project is the difference that it makes to the community, the ability to connect people and get people from one place to the other, but to do that in a sustainable way. And that's a key part of what we are about at Aecom. Next one, please. Speaking of sustainability, the National Climate Change Risk Assessment, it's a report that we put together that looked at the climate change risks and the implications of climate change to New Zealand. As a country, we've got a massive coastline, we've got a lot of low-lying areas, and looking at what is the risk of climate change, and that will feed into an adaptation plan, looking at opportunities for maybe some physical works or some retrenchment. And as a project, as a report, it will fundamentally change the way that we think about infrastructure and we think about land use as a country. So really exciting project to be involved in. Next one, please. I think this is the last of the project slide. The Mount Cass wind farms, we do a lot of work in the energy space with a particular focus on sustainable energy. Really proud as a New Zealander that 85% of our energy generation is sustainable, but that does mean that there's 15% that's not. There's a lot of coal that's burned in our power generation, and with the increased demand, we need more sustainable energy. So whether it be geothermal, whether it be wind, whether it be hydro, whether it be solar, they're areas that as an organisation we have a strong history and track record in, and are partnering with clients right throughout the country to deliver sustainable power. Next slide, please. So what drives us, and this is it's a lovely photograph. And the next slide though really talks about the values that we hold dear at Aecom. Just next slide, please. And there's a statement there: our values are our guiding principles, and this is something that I hold dear to me, and I really encourage each of you to look at the values of an organisation and look to see whether they align with your values. Whether you strive to be innovative, whether collaboration sits at the heart of who you are. These are more than just words. So I encourage you that if you are going to apply, take some time and think about the values and think about whether you align with them. Certainly, look, I do. There's a couple there that really stand out to me. Firstly, the sustain, and that's about the fact that the projects that we choose to work on, the clients we choose to work with, are about making a sustainable and positive impact to the communities in which we live and play. And the second one was thrive, and that's about helping people, everyone at Aecom, helping them to be the best that they can be, to maximise their potential through training, through opportunities, through honest conversations, through development opportunities, we want people to be the very best that they can be. Next slide, please. I think this is the last slide before I hand over to Annika. But one of our key pillars of our strategy is around the ESG, the environment, social, and governance side. And you can see the pillars there. Firstly, it's about the projects that we do, the conversations that we have with clients, wanting to embed sustainable development principles and resilience across everything that we do. And that's something that we challenge ourselves on. We also are looking to improve social outcomes, and whether that be internally, at work, we have a give a little page where we encourage staff and we match it with Aecom to give back. We have volunteer days, but also through the projects, we partner with organisations like Amatai, which is an organisation set up with a purpose to help Māori and Pacifica organisations to flourish and thrive. We're committed as an organisation to achieving net zero carbon emissions, but we're also committed to helping our clients and our partners achieve it as well. And lastly, enhancing governance, and that's helping our partners do the right thing. And that ranges from helping them with their diversity and inclusion commitments, environmental risk management, safety, really helping our partners lift their game to ensure that they're doing the right thing and we're doing the right thing. We're holding each other to account to leave New Zealand and the rest of the world in a better place. Next slide, please. Oh, that's enough of me. I'd now like to hand over to Annika.
Hi there. Thank you very much, Craig, for that fantastic overview and introduction to Aecom. So we're now going to move on to the second part of the event tonight, which is a bit of a Q&A, an opportunity to hear from some of our Aecom reps and have some conversations, ask some questions, find out a little bit more from our team. Oh, sorry, I should probably introduce myself. So I'm the Graduate Recruitment Manager across Australia and New Zealand. The one benefit, I suppose, of the virtual events is that myself and Caitlin and the team here can join virtually from Brisbane, which is really nice. We can get a little bit involved in some broader events across our ANZ region. Next slide, please, Caitlin. So firstly, I'm going to hand over to some of our Aecom reps to do a quick introduction to themselves, and then we are going to invite you to join a breakout room with some of our reps, and I guess you can join those that are most aligned to your interests or backgrounds and degree disciplines. So firstly, I'm going to hand over to Graham, who is one of our senior leaders in the business, and he'll be sort of floating around a few of the different rooms and having some conversations tonight. So over to you, Graham.
Thanks, Annika. Hi, everyone. I'm Graham Fletcher. I have a very long job title, but it basically means that I look after the buildings and places business across Australia and New Zealand, based up in Auckland. Structural engineer by background, and yeah, certainly keen to chat to anyone who's interested in that broader buildings space here at Aecom.
Thanks, Graham. And we'll go to Matt next, who is going to lead our civil engineering breakout room.
Yeah, cheers. That's a great photo too. That's not the one I put on emails, but I like it. Yeah, I'm Matt. I studied natural resources at Canterbury. Now a water engineer with Aecom. So yeah, chat to me about anything civil or natural resources, and I can tell you what it's like to be a grad. Cheers.
Thank you, Matt. And then we are going to have a mechanical breakout room, and Darren is going to lead that one for us. Over to you, Darren.
All right, yes, I'm Darren. I studied mechanical engineering at Canterbury a wee while ago now. And since then, I've worked across many industries, as you do as a mechanical engineer. And at the moment, I sit in the power team here in Christchurch for Aecom, and we do work across power and industrial and water and everything really. So yeah, happy to chat to anyone that's interested in any of the mechanical fields really.
Fantastic, thanks Darren. And then we've got Brendan, who shall be leading our electrical breakout room. Over to you, Brendan.
Yeah, kia ora everyone. My name's Brendan. I studied electrical at Canterbury University. Been working at Aecom for 1 year in the transmission and distribution team. So that's some of Darren and the power team. And primarily at the moment, I've been working on substations, which has sort of provided a bit of a complex challenge, but it's good work. Just that.
Perfect. Next slide, please, Caitlin. Okay, and then we've got Bilal and Kemi, who will both be in our project management breakout room. So Bilal, over to you firstly.
Kia ora everyone, my name is Bilal Haidari. I studied at UC as well. I'm probably the most recent graduate. I finished my degree studying civil and structural engineering at UC, finished last November and joined Aecom straight away. Been with Aecom just over 3 months now and working with the PM department.
Super, and over to you, Kemi.
Hi, I'm Kemi. I'm a senior project manager with Aecom and the PM team. So project managers come from all different backgrounds, and Bilal's kindly come onto one of my projects and is working across a few different in our company. So at the moment, my key one is probably the library, swimming pool, and community service centre in Hornby.
Fantastic. And then we are going to have an environmental breakout room, and that one will be led by Helen Lawrence. Over to you, Helen.
Hi everyone, I am an environmental planner in the environment team. I studied a bit of a mix of science, geography at Otago, and then policy and planning at Lincoln. And I work mostly to get resource consents for big projects. So I work with lots of different disciplines like ecologists and contaminated land specialists and things like that.
Fantastic. Okay, thanks very much, Aecom reps. If we can go to the next slide, please, Caitlin. So now we have around 25 minutes or so to have some really good conversations with our reps. We have set up the breakout rooms, and I'm sure probably most of you students are very familiar with Zoom now, but I have put some instructions up on the screen, and I have also noticed that there is a different way to enter the breakout room. So on my own screen, there's also down the bottom task panel, there's a button which has got 3 dots and says more, so that might be another way, because I know the view is a little bit different depending on your screen setup. So we have those breakout rooms ready to go. So Aecom reps, if you can move into your particular room, and then students feel free to move across, and then at the end of the 25 minutes we'll ask you to come back into the main room, and we'll do a bit of a final sort of wrap up and provide a little bit more information about the graduate program itself. If there's any issues, just message us or chat us if you can't get into the rooms for some reason, or if you're not sure which room to join, just ask us and we'll be able to help. So we'll kick on into that next stage.
Just wanted to say as well, if anybody has any trouble joining the breakout rooms, feel free to turn your microphone on and give me a yell, and I can pop you into whichever one you want to go into. But try and get into it on your own first.
Thanks, Caitlin.
All good.
Has John Bundell joined?
John's unable to attend today, Craig.
Okay, well I'll pop into civil, eh?
Yes, good idea. It's probably, it looks like that's where most or the bigger number of people are going into. Caitlin, can you see, are there still people in the main room?
Yeah.
Good man.
Sweet. Are you final year?
I'm third year this year.
Third year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So looking to choose some geotech-based subjects for third pro?
Yeah. Take some
Oh, yeah.
subjects with Mark Stringer and stuff and
Yeah.
see how that all
Yeah.
goes last year.
Yeah, he's hardcore. He's good. He's good value.
Yeah, for sure.
So, do we have any questions?
Yeah, far away.
Nothing's too hard or challenging. I can't pass on to Matt, or Matt can't pass on to me. So, feel free. Nothing's off limits.
I just have a question about what the civil work kind of consists of. I'm a final year structural engineering student, but I'm just like still deciding if I want to be a structural engineer or not. And so I'd love to hear like a little bit more about the more like water civil stuff, if you would like.
Would you consider geotech and transport? So that's what comprises civil, water,
yeah,
geotech,
so I
and
do
transport.
geotech as well.
You do geotech as well.
Yeah, so I take the structures papers and then geotech paper.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't actually really know what that is in the workplace. My internship was a structures internship, so.
Oh yeah. Well, if you want to know geotech,
yeah, I'm just kind of interested to see what it's about.
Yeah, look, well, I guess was your internship with a specialist structural firm, or was it a multidisciplinary firm?
Yeah, multidisciplinary. It was with WSP actually.
We all make mistakes. I know. No, look, I think the within civils, it's so incredibly broad. So be it roads, be it pipes, be it rivers, be it highways, bridges, you name it. There's an incredible amount of diversity. And one thing I would say to all of you, and this is from personal experience, encourage you to try and join a larger firm that has a good graduate program. And when you're in one of those larger firms, be it Aecom, WSP, the others, there's the ability to, when you come out with a civil degree, or even some of the other degrees, you can move around. You can start doing something and realize, hey, they're having more fun over there, and have a conversation. And by and large, we will look to facilitate that change. So don't feel as though the choice that you make now is the choice that you're locking in for your entire career. When I graduated, I joined a small geotechnical firm, and I was their first graduate, and the guy had absolutely no idea what a graduate knew. He just had somewhat higher expectations than what I delivered. So I think he was a little bit disappointed. Whereas the larger firms, we've got really good processes, structures. First 2 years are well set out to take you on that learning journey. But yeah, as I said, I wouldn't stress too much about the area that you start in. Choose something that you're interested in, but you can always move.
Cool, because you guys aren't doing structural graduates this intake, are you?
Well,
I think I read that on your website, maybe.
I'd be surprised if we're not, because our structural grads work in our buildings team, they work in a transport team. They're spread across. So I wouldn't want to make a definitive promise because I've been proven wrong in the past. But look, I'd say there's a reasonable chance that we are. But yeah, I'd say put if you're interested, put your application in across a range of fields, and then have a conversation. I have the dubious distinction of, when I applied at a university, I applied for what was the legacy firm to Aecom, and I got that letter of the thanks, but no thanks. And so, yeah, it's so that's the other thing, is that, look, if at first you don't succeed, skip out the HR process and go directly to someone that you know. And I didn't say that, but yeah, it's your career's a long time, and don't be too upset if you get some rejection letters, because that's just part of life.
Oh, thank you.
Any other questions?
If we do sort of get an internship or something, given that's like a specialized, well, it's like a separate program, would we see sort of all parts of the process of like what you guys do at Aecom, or would we be sort of more connected with a specific part?
You'll get your internship with a specific part. COVID notwithstanding, because it's actually been really, really hard for summer students and even for graduates working from home. Yeah, it sucks. And it sucks even more when you're trying to get an idea of what's going on. But normally, touch wood, back to business as usual. You'll be in the office, you'll be talking to the graduates, talking to the other parts of the business. You'll get a good idea just through observation and seeing what other people do. Any other questions?
I'll ask another question. Are you based in Auckland?
I am.
What do you think is the most impressive project that Aecom have done in Auckland?
It's a tough one, isn't it? It's because they're all so different. I mean, whilst I've got the role of managing director for New Zealand, I actually spend probably half my time on projects, which is brilliant. It's not really part of what I should be doing, but I love projects. So currently I'm working on City Rail Link. I'm working on Eastern Busway, which is a busway alliance, about $1 billion, and working on another transport planning project, planning the future growth corridors for the city. So they're all quite different, but they all fundamentally change the shape of Auckland. I was involved in Transmission Gully, which has been a brilliant project, and I get to travel around the country and look at other projects. So I'm not sure if I have a favorite, but I think it's projects that make a difference in the community, and I think that's there's nothing for me. There's nothing greater than when you drive around or you visit a place and you see projects that you were involved in, that you had an influence on. So we're fortunate that a lot of the iconic projects around the country we've had a hand in. If you look at Christchurch, you're coming from the airport, the Russley Road, the Arches, it was one of our projects, and that's one of the cool things about working in the infrastructure space.
Cool, thank you.
Hi, I've got a question for Matt. Would you just be able to give us some insight into the grad program and what's involved and what you felt you've got out of it?
Yep. Yeah, so you're a grad for just on 2 years at Aecom, and throughout both years there are a whole lot of chats, courses, presentations, things that go along with that. Normally all the grads can get together from everyone who's a couple of years older than me, but unfortunately we've sort of been stuck in Christchurch. But you get on with the virtual learning, and we've done all sorts, whether it's client experience or dealing with time, dealing with senior leaders, and yeah, so that's like the formal graduate program. But a part of that I've really enjoyed is they encourage you to get a mentor. So you can pretty much look anywhere in the business, someone who's got some time and share some wisdom. And I thought that I wanted to sort of develop soft skills more rather than hard, like technical design skills. So I buddied myself up with a project manager, and it's been really cool. He's based out of Auckland, and we talk monthly, and having that as part of the graduate program's probably been a highlight for me.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Hey, Craig, I've got a question for you. I was just wondering, you said earlier that you've been with the company for 20 years, and we were just wondering, what is it about Aecom that makes you love it so much to stay?
Look, it's been the diversity. So look, just quick background. I civil engineers, masters geotech, but so I started with Aecom as a geotech engineer, a couple of years out. Did 5 or 6 years as a design engineer / project manager, and got a chance to to move to the States to work on the rollout of Oracle as our financial management system. So they said to me, hey, are you interested in a role in LA? We'll give you a house and a car. And so I was hooked at that stage. So I had a year and a half in the States, and then came back and managed the implementation of the Oracle rollout across Australia and New Zealand, did an IT upgrade in the Middle East, have absolutely no idea about software, about IT. So look, one thing I would say to all of you, it's a bit of a sort of digression, but the biggest differentiator in your careers will be your willingness to step outside of your comfort zone, to take on things that you're completely, petrified about. I mean, when I went to the States, they asked me, so what do you know about Oracle? And I said, well, nothing. They said, well, what do you know about software? And I said, what do you mean, like Word, Excel? And they said, well, what are you here for? And I said, well, it was a house and a car in LA. And so they kind of said, look, we're too busy to train you. They set me in a corner to read these Oracle manuals. And then, 6 weeks later, sent me down to Orange County, about an hour and a half south, to present these 8-day training courses on Oracle, on the Oracle projects module. It was just bizarre, but, I was willing to give it a crack, and, somehow vaguely worked out okay. And, I think one of the big lessons learned is no one will ask you to do something that they don't believe that you can do, because, whilst it might be vaguely amusing, actually we want people to succeed in what they do. So if someone's asking you to do something, they've seen something in you that makes them believe that you can do it. Back yourself, give it a crack, and just continually put yourself outside your comfort zone. But anyway, that was a bit of a digression. So I was traveling back and forth to Australia on a weekly basis for this project in Australia. And my wife, we had child number 4 at that stage, said, look, you're doing quite a bit of travel. So I was offered the area manager, regional manager role for our Waikato and Bay of Plenty business. I was 33 at the time. I'd never led a team before in my life, never led a team. And they thought it'd be a good idea to lead a team of 70 people. Again, petrified, but it seemed to work out okay. From there, I led our transportation business across the country, and then led our buildings business across the country before moving into the current role. And so whilst I've been with Aecom for 20 years, which to be fair is longer than probably some of you have been alive for, the diversity and challenges that I've had over that time have kept me excited and engaged.
Hey, cheers, Craig. That was really insightful and interesting to hear about all of the different places.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I just had a question there. You sort of probably already have basically answered this when you've been talking about graduate roles and stuff, but I'll just confirm that if you go into your 4th year at uni, where you obviously pick your papers and you don't really know what you're into, it's not that big a worry if you want to do geotech but you haven't taken the ones that year? Or... No,
most of the stuff that you learn it on the job. University, in its truest sense, if it does what it's meant to do well, is teaches you how to learn and the ability to pick things up. So, and probably the other part is there's not a lot of what we do on the job. Matt can correct me, and maybe it's got tougher. It's not necessarily rocket science, and there's always someone there that can that you can ask questions of to help you pick it up. So in an ideal world, you pick papers that interest you and you carry on with them, but it's certainly not critical by any stretch.
Yeah, I'll live with you. I was just saying, when I need to calculate pipe flow, I don't ever go back to first principles. It's good to potentially have that in the back pocket if you do remember it at all. But there is a lot of clever software out there that does a lot of the thinking for you, and you're more thinking about opportunities and risks in the project rather than oh, could I optimize pipe velocity by iterating this method? No, you just, the computer knows it better than you. And yeah, I sort of weaved myself towards water in my final year. But before I even chose my final year projects, I had already decided to do a transportation internship with a different consultancy. And then, yeah, on the back of that, thought, oh, transportation's not as much for me as I thought it was. And yeah, shifted myself over to water. So yeah, no problems where you want to change or move from what courses you do.
That's great. Thanks very much.
Maybe I have a question in terms of like internship. If you, for example, like got interns for, say, structural engineering, do you have the opportunities to like try other kind of discipline, like transport or water or something?
Yeah, look, it's interesting. Different offices do it and different places do it differently. I remember when I was in Hamilton, looking after the office there, our interns just moved around, all over the show, and whoever was needed someone to assist, they moved around. I think the larger offices, you tend to typically stay within that office. But I think if you express an interest, and that's the other piece of encouragement, is just really be open to have a good conversation with your manager and with others, because there's generally a way to make it work if you put your hand up to say what you want to do. So yeah, look, I think there's the opportunity there. By and large, the default is that you'll spend your time getting work experience in the area that you've chosen your internship. But if you've got some interest, then I'm sure that most organizations can try and find a way to make it happen.
Right, cool, thanks very much.
Probably the other piece of advice that if you are doing internships is, it's very much on both sides a try before you buy. So, you should be looking out and saying, hey, is this organization the organization that I can see my career growing with? But bear in mind that they're doing the same, saying, hey, is this person someone that I'm keen to work with? Because your team lead, your manager, has a big influence on whether or not you're going to be recruited. And we've had some people that have just made such an impact in terms of their work ethic, in terms of their attitude, the little things of thanking the manager when they on the last day, and those sorts of things, they go a long way. So encourage, if you are an intern and you are enjoying where you're at, then just think about the impression that you're making.
Cool. Thank you.
Any other burning questions? I said no questions off limits. So if you're wondering about career progression or whatever, then it's a great chance to have to put it out there.
Maybe I got one more question about as an international student, do you guys also have an internship program for them?
Yeah, look, we have internships regardless of your background. Are you a New Zealand resident, or I think that to work in New Zealand you've got to have a residency? But besides that criteria, certainly we're open for all backgrounds.
Cool, it's good to hear. Thank you.
And look, the other thing too is we look to facilitate movement around the globe as well. So as we said, we've got offices throughout the world, and we work pretty hard to try and place people in whatever office and country that they want to get some work experience in.
That was going to be my next question, is what is it like to try, at what point could you request to move overseas to one of your other offices, or after you'd started as a graduate? How long would you need to spend?
So the typical time is that sort of 2 to 3 years, and then you go off. And by and large, historically, the majority have gone off to London to freeze and but to have great holidays, because you bounce around to all the cheap countries on the EasyJet flights. it'd be interesting to see what life is like post-COVID, and just to see how people move. But yeah, look, we've had a number of people that we have linked up to our UK office, and others that we've kept in contact with, and they've come back post that time as well.
Cool.
Certainly, the easiest movement is between here and Australia, because that's kind of our region. But we've got one of our buildings project managers, Bella. She went from Auckland to work in New York on a $1.3 billion railway yards development, and just had a brilliant time.
Hi.
Yes.
Sorry. Yeah. Currently, I'm studying the fire engineering in UC. So I just wonder, do you have any fire engineering team in New Zealand?
No, we do fire engineering, I understand, in Australia, but we don't actually do fire engineering in New Zealand.
Okay, I see. Okay, thank you.
That's okay. If I had my choice, if I was a fire engineer, I'd probably go with Homes Fire, but that's for what it's worth.
I was sort of wondering if further down the line, if just say you graduated with your Bachelor of Honours, and you wanted to look at potentially getting like a master's 5-10 years down the road, is there any sort of like help that you could get from Aecom in sort of pursuing that? Or
Yeah, there definitely is. There's even people who are as much experience as me, just the 1 year, who are already pursuing masters. And I mean, it's probably on a case-by-case basis, but yeah, Aecom definitely works with people to get their masters done, and you don't have to wait 5 years if you want. You could start right away if there's something you're interested in. But yeah, I know people who, some of their work time is towards pursuing a higher education, which good on them.
Sweet as, cheers.
So go Charlotte.
I've just got a question. I'm quite interested in climate change and like working with developing communities. So I was wondering do you do any projects in that area, or what opportunities are there for that?
So we do. I mean, we do some work from New Zealand in the Pacific Islands. Certainly, our global business does a lot. We tend typically to work regionally, so we do a lot of work in the climate change space in New Zealand, but less on that global scene. I mean, I've got a good friend of mine that spent 15 years on that sort of global aid and development circuit, working with the UN. I think the typical pathway suggestion is do a couple of years here, build up your skills, and then if you've got that passion for work in the developing countries, is to take the opportunity to move closer there once you've kind of embedded those skills.
Cool, that sounds good. Thank you.
How have you guys found the world of lockdowns, and what's been your experience in terms of your internships?
It's all right. We just in my interns, we still go to the office actually, so it was not pretty affected by the lockdown.
Yeah, red light was sort of the end of internships, wasn't it? Yeah, with our intern. Yeah, she obviously stayed in the office, which I think is good that people could come in, and even though it was reduced capacity in the office due to the restrictions, at least a few of us from the team would come in and we could help her out. So even though a lot of people were working from home, we made sure that the intern was supported.
And I forget too that Aucklanders have spent a lot more time in jail than you have. One thing that we did straight after the first lockdown was we made the call, and we provide all of our staff, you know, with dual screens, laptop, docking station, keyboard, and an office type chair, to ensure that if you are working from home, that you've got the facilities to, you know, to work well, effectively, and safely. And, you know, my gut feel is that the new normal will be that people will choose some time in the office and some time at home, and that, you know, life and work will be, you know, to some degree, work will fit around life. So you'll be able to do those things if you've got commitments during the day, to be able to, you know, structure your work around that.
That kind of leads into a question that I have. Do the Aecom office in Auckland hot desk, or is it set desks?
It's a bit of both, actually. We've just transitioned so that those people that have basically said, hey, look, you know, the nature of what I do means I come into the office every day, or I'm keen to come into the office every day, then those people can have a fixed desk. For those that are pretty flexible and are fairly relaxed, then they hot desk. So all of the desks themselves have the same IT setup, so you can come in, just plug your laptop in, you've got the dual screens, you've got everything. But if you want or prefer, and you've got, to some degree, if you've got a reason for having a fixed desk, then that's available as well.
Right. And on a day-to-day basis, what % of your total Auckland employees do you think spend time in the office per week? Like,
It's a good question. At the moment, very few. I think we're limited with the COVID restriction to 100, so we can have up to, I think there's about 350 Auckland-based staff. The office itself is limited to 100, and we probably around about the 70 to 80 mark, I'd say, are in the office. We also, a number of those projects that I talked about earlier actually have project offices. So our City Rail Link team and our busway team, they co-locate with the client and with other consultant partners in a separate office as well. So there's a fair amount of flexibility. I'm picking that when we're back to kind of business as usual, on any given day, I think will be about 70% of staff will be in the office for some amount of time.
right. And do you think, like, if there aren't as many people in the office, like, from my experience, I worked in the Christchurch office, but for my internship, but I spent some time in the Auckland office, and I just found that, do you have a plan for how you would help graduates if there's not many people in their team? Like, are you just going to rely on using Teams and things like that, or do you have something else in place?
No, there's where the expectation is that the graduates have deliberate hands-on mentoring, and so the expectation is that team leads, the team is aware of the makeup of their team, and that, to be at the start of your career, that ability to pop over the divide and ask a question, on a regular basis, you need that face-to-face contact. And so that's a conversation that we started to have with some of the managers back when we thought COVID had kind of gone away. It's, at this point in time, we're taking a pretty softly approach with people, because some people are genuinely still nervous about COVID. So it's, people are free to do what they want, and at the moment that's pretty hard for some of the grads. But once we're over the hump with COVID, then the conversations will quickly move to, we do have, look, we're relational people, and engineering design is a collaborative process. You get the best outcomes when you're bouncing ideas around, talking things and being able to just discuss stuff, and that works best in a team environment. And you see that on our biggest projects. That's why we actually pay for specific office space to co-locate teams, because that's where the sizzle is. So look, that's my expectation, is that post-COVID, business as usual, that the majority of staff will be in the office for a chunk of their time, whether it be, probably crystal ball gazing. I'm picking sort of 3 days a weekish would be that kind of happy medium.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Oops, it looks as though we're being called back to the main room. So, hey, look, big thanks to all of you making the time to come along, and let's dart back and see what Annika has in store. Cheers.
All right.
Just kick them out and pull them all back.
Yeah,
You've got the power.
I do. They've got a little timer counting down. I think almost everyone's out apart from project management.
You'd really think project management would be on time, wouldn't you?
Must be having some good chats.
Bilal and Kemi are in the chat.
All right, well, I've got 3 seconds. Okay, there we go.
Okay, have we got everyone back, Caitlin?
Yes, we do.
Fantastic. Okay, if you can skip to the next slide, please. So thank you for having a chat to our Aecom reps. Hopefully you got some opportunity to ask your questions and find out a little bit more about the different teams, the opportunities, what it's like to work at Aecom, and some broader insights that you didn't, I guess, know about before. Next slide, please, Caitlin. So I'm just going to do a little bit of a wrap up now and just talk through the grad program a little bit. And I know I jumped into a couple of rooms and touched on it briefly. But we have a 2-year graduate program here at Aecom called the Growing Professional Skills Program, or GPS program. And the program itself is really designed around developing your skills as a consultant. So it doesn't matter if you're a landscape architect, an electrical engineer, project manager. The training is really designed to build up your skills, providing opportunity to have confident client conversations, ability to write reports, lots of different things, building up your ability to network or whatever it might be. So really focusing on those broader consulting skills. And then of course, getting your technical development specific to your own discipline and your own team. And that's around, there's going to be some things that you'll need for your role, and there'll obviously be some things that you can identify to get with your manager around areas that you want to develop in your own career as well. The program has some mentoring, it has an opportunity to be part of I guess the social side, so the Connect community, which is for grads and early careers. So whether you're professional or a senior professional or a grad or an undergrad. So this committee is around, I guess, connecting you, as the name would suggest, and it's really one of, I personally feel it's one of the biggest benefits, because we have really large cohorts of graduates joining us. I think for our 2022 intake, we had about 180 graduates join us across Australia and New Zealand. For 2023, we have forecasted 220 positions. So we're really proud to invest in graduates and the business values, the fresh thinking, the innovation, and the enthusiasm that you bring to our business. And actually challenging the way things have been done before, so that we can put in place even better solutions for our clients in the future. So that's just a little snapshot on the program itself. Next slide, please, Caitlin. So our applications for the FY23 graduate intake are now open. I'm really hoping the QR code works, because it didn't work on my last presentation, so fingers crossed, but please do chat and message me if it's not working. It should take you straight to our Graduate Australia New Zealand Aecom page. On that page there's an apply now button, but there's also lots of information. So there's some stories from our current grads, there's an opportunities document which actually lists out a lot of information about the different teams within the business, and specifically which locations have opportunities for this intake. And I know not all of you will be graduating this year. Some will be looking for undergraduate or internship opportunities. So our applications for that will open on the 23rd of June, close on the 21st of July. There's an expression of interest form which is hosted on our partner site, Grad Australia or Prospel, Grad New Zealand, Prospel. So there's a QR code for that as well. So if you click on there, that will take you to a very, very quick and easy expression of interest, which will then shoot you off a note to say when we're open, so you don't have to remember the exact dates, which will hopefully make it nice and easy for you. Okay, next slide, please, Caitlin. So our process, you will see an advert for Christchurch. Within the Christchurch advert itself, it will list out the different opportunities that are available. Once you apply, you'll complete a basic application form with us, and within a week or two, you'll be receiving an email from us to create an account with our partner, Capfinity. You'll complete an application form and some online strengths-based assessment. It's a situational assessment, and I just strongly recommend just pop it in Google so that you know a little bit more what to expect. There's plenty of examples out there, just to familiarise yourself before actually going through it is definitely an easy way to make you feel at ease. Once you have completed that, if you do meet our requirements, you'll be issued with a one-way video interview request. So this is where you basically talk to your laptop, but on the other side, our team will be reviewing those video interviews. We've tried to make it as least nerve-wracking as possible, but I do appreciate it can also feel a little bit daunting. So again, feel free to just jump online, do some practice one-way video interviews as well. If successful, you'll be invited to an assessment centre with us. So the timing of this, so applications close on the 29th of March. You'll be given the strengths-based assessment and the one-way video interview, I guess throughout March and April, and then assessment centres will be held in May. Next slide, please, Caitlin. So I guess some very simple tips. And I feel like a lot of these points kind of all merge into one for me. We really, we want to see the real you. We are looking for different people to join our business. We want a variety of disciplines. We know that diversity brings I guess a new level of opportunity for our clients and our communities to really replicate what's out there. We want to be able to think about all of those different things that are important. So we just want to see the real you. Be prepared, but don't be too prepared. So don't have to be really scripted. Of course, it's good to have taken some time and research, like Craig said right at the start. Make sure that your values align to our values or whatever company you're going to apply for, and that's really important to have a long-term career, which is what we want you to do with us. Show us you care. It's simple things like addressing it to the right people, maybe taking the time to put in an extra note. You can put something like you've come and attended this event, and those sorts of things really do help in an application. Next slide, please, Caitlin. And I guess in terms of overall benefits of working with Aecom, so obviously there's the grad program itself. There's the Connect committee, and having that cohort of grads to start your career with, and also those who have just gone one step ahead of you is definitely a really big benefit. But we have lots of different benefits as an organisation, and I've put lots up on the screen, and I guess we won't talk through them all. There's so many different things that are important to different people, and we recognise that. So trying to offer a variety of things that help you and help, I guess, have some of those benefits as a whole. And the things that sort of stand out to me, Caitlin and I actually talked about the other days around having a opportunity to have a day off to do some charity work. So you might already be committed to a charity, and that's a great opportunity to spend some extra time with that charity, or you might want to do it as a team, a team event, and highlight a charity or work on a charity together, which is I guess a double bonus. Lots of different things. Flexible working is also a big one for myself personally, and I hear stories of people all the time saying that the flexibility of the way Aecom supports flexibility really helps you deliver in your role, and understanding that you have a lot of other things going on in your lives, so trying to be supportive as a whole, and focusing on deliverables, and as long as it works for you, your team and your client, then it works for us, which is a phrase that's been used, I think, for a couple of years, Aecom, and it continues to stand strong because it really does resonate with a lot of people. So there's lots of different benefits to joining us, and we really hope that you have enjoyed the discussion this evening, and we hope that you'll consider us for a graduate or an undergraduate role, and feel free to connect in on LinkedIn or different platforms, so that can ask some additional questions if you would like as well. But I think that's the last slide of the evening, Caitlin. Yes, it is. So I'd like to just thank you once again for taking time out of your evening to come and join us. We hope it's been valuable, and we will send a survey monkey off to you in the next few days. Feel free to let us know what we can do in the future, and we want to make these sorts of engagement events as valuable as possible for you as students as well. So so that would be great. But thank you again, and we might just hand over to Craig for any last words as well.
Look, with nothing more than what you've said, just a big thanks for making the time. Appreciate it. And enjoy the process and enjoy the career. Said 20 plus years myself, and I'm sure Graham's the same. A career in infrastructure is incredibly satisfying, and it's great to be able to shape the country. So all the best for the rest of your year, and look, good luck for the recruitment process. Hopefully we'll see some of you around at some point in time.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. Enjoy the rest of your evenings.
Cheers for that. Catch you later.
Thank you.
Bye. Bella, did you need anything from us, or are we all good?
No, we're all good. I think we had 47 people attend at the peak. I kept track. Yeah.
Perfect. That's great. Thanks very much for letting us know. That's yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Do you know what other organisations had out of interest?
I actually haven't been to any of the engineering ones. I've been, unfortunately, at most of the law ones, but I actually do study civil engineering here as well. Yeah, so I'll be applying as well. So good.
Oh, yay! Oh, that's fabulous. How good. So you managed to
do two things at once. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Well, we will definitely look forward to getting your application, and feel free if you want any extra information. Obviously, you have my email address, so feel free to shoot through, and even just let me know when you've applied, if you like, as well.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for your help this evening, Bella.
No problem. See you later.
See ya. Bye.